Hi, Charlene. Welcome to Boss Talks. Thanks for being here with us today.
Hey, Olivia. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, we are so excited to have you back. If you all recognize Charlene, she's from our very first panel, Women in Artist Marketing. The wonderful artist manager, Charlene Bryant, is here to speak with us today. So, Charlene, why don't you give us a little introduction to yourself, who you are, what you do?
So, I am Charlene Bryant. I am an artist manager currently managing the amazing Trippie Red. I am from a small town called Canton, Ohio. Born and raised, small town girl. I also went to school in Nashville, Tennessee at an amazing school called Belmont University. I am an alum. So that's how I got foot in door in the music industry. And, I have a long resume dating back to starting out at Capital Christian and then going over to RCA Inspiration, Provident Music Group, which is Sony's Christian and gospel label. So I started out going from righteous to ratchet because now I'm in hip hop. So
I love that. That's going to be a new thing, from righteous to ratchet.
I feel like that should be the title of whatever book on my career. Yes.
From righteous to ratchet. Absolutely, Charlene. I love that. So, you told us a little bit, you were at labels, now you're managing Trippie Red. How did you get to where you are today managing Trippie?
Oh man, it's so amazing. It's kind of like a story that started from tragedy, but it was like the beauty from ashes, right? So October 2017, my grandfather passed away, and before he passed away, he got really sick and he was in hospice. I would visit him, and he was so proud of everything that I was doing at the label, all of the traveling that I was doing, the places that I had been, and just my career in music, because I didn't realize my grandfather loved music and talked about seeing Billie Holiday in concert for 10 cents back in the day in Canton, Ohio at the Palace Theater. And so he actually had a love of music. I was very, very proud, but I just remember him saying to me before he passed, there were things in his life that he wished he did. He didn't get to travel the world like I am now. And so he just said, whatever you do, just do whatever you want to do in life, have no regrets. And a month before he passed, I met with someone that, would end up becoming my mentor. And he was telling me what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, oh, I want to do artist development. I want to do this. I want to do that. And he was like, tell me more. And just digging through, peeling back the layers, he was like, no, Charlene, you want to do artist management. And I was like, no, I don't. I do not want to do artist management, because I had done it before and I have horror stories. And it wasn't even artist management. It was friends or relatives hey, I'm an artist, just starting out, what advice can you give me, or how can you help? And I would just dive in and start doing all these things and were unappreciative, and that was then. So I was just like, what, maybe there's something here. So I grabbed this book by Paul Allen. It's a textbook about artist management, and I read through the book right after my grandpa passed. I was like, okay, maybe I really need to focus on this. Read the book, got finished with it in December. January of 2018, I get a phone call from Trippie's mom. Saying we're from a small town, so she had heard through the tiny streets of Canton that I was working in the music industry, and I actually was in New York for Sony. I was doing digital account management, so we were doing content capture with our artist Grammy Week in New York. And we were doing things with, Pandora, Spotify, everyone was there, all of the streaming platforms. And so when she called me, I was getting dressed to go to the Spotify party. And she said, hey, we really need help. And I was like, well, what's going on? And she was like, my son is blowing up. I think his music is on SoundCloud. She didn't even know. And she was like, and I just know he does these shows and there's all these people. And I was just like, okay, sure. I don't know who Trippie Red is. I've never heard of the kid, but I'll just Google and see if this is a good fit. And to be honest, when I first Googled him, all this crazy, demonic looking stuff popped up. And I was like, oh Lord, no. I love Jesus. I work for a Christian and gospel label. This is like totally against my religion. And so a couple months had passed, and actually, I think a month or so at the time, one of his cousins was managing him. And I talked to him. We had a great conversation. So I was like, yo, I got in with him. I'm probably going to be on the team. And his mom called me 2 days later and was like, Trippie doesn't want to work with you. I was like, oh, okay. Like, my feelings were genuinely hurt. He does not know this story, by the way. So I hope he sees it and he apologizes. But I mean, it was like, rejection. I unfortunately, in this industry, you get a million no's before you get a yes, right? So my feelings were hurt, but I had been rejected before. And I was just like, oh, whatever. It didn't work out. It wasn't supposed to be, right? Like, it wasn't supposed to happen. So fast forward to July of 2018. So we're 6 months from when I first had the conversation with her. And she said, look, there's a lot going on, unfortunately, his best friend at the time, XXXTentacion, had just got murdered on his birthday, June 18th, 2018. So he was, he moved back. He was living in Atlanta, moved back to Ohio at the time. And she was just like, Charlene, we need your help. Like, there's just so much going on. Like, we don't know what to do. And I said, look, he has to hire me and we got to catch a vibe for each other. So let me just travel to Columbus, Ohio at the time and let me meet him in person and see what happens.
Yeah.
So this is just a funny story. So she walks me in the house, and I remember him in like it was a split level home, the house she had at that time. And he was sitting in the lower level, like with his legs crossed in his underwear, playing video games. And she was like, she calls him his nickname. She was like, hey, this is Charlene. And he was like, and I was like, oh no, I'm not doing this. What child is this? So I was like, this is not going to work. But I was like, I flew out here. They were going to take care of my travel. So let me just be polite, but this is going to be a no, because I already have my career at Sony. Like, I'm good to go.
Right.
So his friends come in and they're like, Tripp, we're going to Walmart. You want to go? Because, it's Ohio. So like Walmart's the thing because there's not that much to do. And so he's like, yeah, let me get dressed. And he runs upstairs and he puts on all this designer and like jewelry and grills, and he levitates down the steps. And I was like, this is a star. Wow. I can do this. So from that moment on, I sat down and I just asked him like what his goals were, and we peeled all the layers back. And what started out to just be a like month, I said 30 to 90 days of consulting. Like, I just wanted to come on board, help connect all the dots, put all the pieces together, because there was some, communication and just things going on between all the parts of his business with the business manager and the lawyer and the label and the booking it, like everything was just in disarray. Yeah. So I was like, I'll come on, I'll clean it up. I'll do this for about 30 to 90 days. And then I will go back to my regularly scheduled career. And next thing you know, he was like, I did it for 6 months. Did that for 6 months.
Yeah.
And he said, quit your job and move to LA. And I did.
You did. And here we are.
And here we are.
Wow. That's a phenomenal story, Charlene.
Thank you.
So you've really been with him since the beginning.
Yeah, like the first thing I worked on in July of 2018 was Life's a Trip.
Wow.
And it was released, it was released August 9th of 2018, August 9th or August 10th of 2018. So that was my first like full out, and I'm not gonna lie, like I was nervous. I was nervous because there was no press, no promo. Mm-hmm. Tripp came to me and said, the label promised that my album would come out in August, and now it's getting pushed back or held up. There was something going on due to him not being able to do press and promo. And he was like, but Charlene, I want it to come out. And I was like, I mean, I could fight for it. But in my mind, I was like, if there's no press and promo, this is not. Like,
Right.
this is his first studio album, like his debut, and it is not going to do well. And this is going to end badly. I honestly thought this, and I've never shared any of this stuff with him. So, but I pushed. I said, my client wants his album to come out. My job is to do, like, I always advise. But at the end of the day, it's his decision. So I pushed on the label, and they dropped it, and it debuted number 4 on Billboard Top 200 with 0 press and promo.
Wow.
And I knew, I was like, man, this kid, there's something super special here, because I've never seen that in my career. Yeah. Never seen that. So
yeah, I think my generation too, we're seeing something very different in Trippie. The way that he like mobilizes a crowd and a fan base is it's wild. Absolutely. Yeah. I see how y'all got there for sure. Phenomenal, a lot of talent on the team, of course, all around. But yeah, Charlene, that is amazing. So what are some of your favorite things about managing in general, managing Trippie specifically, anything?
I love that no day is ever the same, right? Like, of course I have days, I have calls and emails, the typical stuff, but every day is different. I also love, especially coming from the label side, when I first started working with Trippie, we had some growing pains, because he would be like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I would be like, no, we can't do that. No. Like, I told him no so many times. One day he was like, why not? Oh. And I sat back and I was like, I don't know. I had come from a label, and at labels, there's so much red tape. Mm-hmm. And there were so many ideas as the creative in me would come to the label with, like, we should do this, we can do this, we can do that. And I was always told, no, you can't do that. No, we're a label, we can't do this, we can't do that. So I had just gotten in that position of just saying no all the time. Yeah. And so the one thing that Trippie taught me as a manager, and one of my good mentors, she actually said to me, she said, Charlene, artist management, if you dream it, you can do it. When she mentioned, if you dream it, you can do it, that sparked the creative in me. And so when Tripp was coming to me with some of the wildest stuff, I just started saying, let's see, you want to do that? Okay, let's try it. Let's see what happens. Why not? So I went from saying no to everything to being like, sure, if you dream it, I'll figure it out. So that is, to me, the best part of this job, is it has stretched my creative muscle in a way, but also implementing the business into it. Like, I mean, to me, every day is just, this is like the funnest thing I could ever do. What else with artist management? Just the opportunities, the travel, the people, the network. Just, I'm a people person, and like, it's just a cool, I mean, I love music. I'm a music fan first. That's why I got into the industry. So the fact that I have the opportunity to influence the thing that I love so much is really, really dope, and why I love doing this too.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you. And then specifically with Trippie, like, he is one of the dopest humans, period. Like, he is a creative genius, an old soul, a clown. He's passionate. He's a Gemini, so he's crazy sometimes.
Yes, we love it. You're crazy.
Love him. Crazy. But yeah, he's just an amazing individual. And the reason why I decided to come on board and take this risk and take this leap of faith and start working with him was that one of the questions that I always ask artists that want to work with me is, why do you want to do this? And he said, I have something inside me that, like, I just need to share. I need to get it out and share it with the world. Like, I don't care if it's 20 people or 20,000 people. Like, I have a story to tell. And I was captivated when he said that. And I'm like, man, he is special. Like, there is a gift and a talent here. So to be able to walk with someone while they're walking in their purpose, as I'm walking in mine, is just the most dynamic thing ever. It's like the dopest thing I've ever done.
That's wonderful, Charlene. Walking in your purpose, that's all you can ask for, right? Out of a job. That's the most you can ask for. That's wonderful. Well, you've had so many bright sides, and you and Trippie have, just been on an upward staircase lately. What are some of the challenges that you've faced as a manager, and how did you overcome them?
Oh, there's so many. The biggest, obvious, glaring one is COVID-19, right?
Right.
So no one could have ever anticipated, prepared for this.
Really unparalleled. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you, as most artists, they, touring is their primary source of income. So as a manager, I really had to flex my creative muscle and say, okay, what else can we do? What else can we work on? Considering that not only touring is shut down, but just the entertainment industry as a whole is affected by, the pandemic. And so I've been around Tripp a lot. I've hung out with him and the crew and everyone, and just paying attention to what he's into. He's into gaming, he's into anime, he's into fashion, he's into acting. I don't know if anybody checked out Dave, but I'm so busy. I'm just now watching Dave. I'm literally on the final episode. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they weaved him into the storyline. Like, it's so awesome. And he did such a good job.
Yeah. And you and I were talking about this, but he's funny. Like, he is funny.
He is hilarious.
It's so rare to find performers in the music space who also translate to performers in the acting space. And he has that down.
Yes, and we got such good feedback about him. Shout out to Scooter Braun for the opportunity. But yeah, we got such good feedback that they wanted to put him in a second episode, because originally he was just supposed to be in that first episode, but they were like, yo, he was great. He was so much fun. He's a natural. And I'm like, yes. So with the pandemic and being able to pivot, having to pivot, we are focusing on those opportunities of TV and film and gaming and fashion and anime and all the things that he wants to do. So I think for me, that's honestly been one of the most challenging things. And, he's a creative. Studios weren't open. So it was like, okay, let's make a makeshift studio at the house. Like, we literally had to, because he was getting antsy, like, Charlene, I'm not doing anything. I can't game anymore. So it was just, just trying to find opportunities and pivot and think of creative ways out to be able to release that creative energy. And of course, try to make a coin during this time, because that's the hardest thing, is just being able to pivot. So that has been the biggest challenge that I've been faced with as an artist manager.
Yeah, I have to imagine it's the biggest challenge, of our generation right now in the music industry. Is everything's shifting.
Right.
No role is the same anymore. Well, Charlene, we get into our last question. What is something that you wish you knew when you were just starting out as a manager that you would like to tell young managers?
Ooh.
This is a good one.
Oftentimes, a lot of young managers that I'm meeting are either coming straight out of college or from a label or some sort of, corporate entity or a job where it was very structured. My word of advice is be flexible, be able to pivot. Like, I remember Trippie's first tour. I'm still working full-time at the label, by the way, and doing Trippie stuff as my side hustle. Yeah. So I'm working 7 days a week, like no sleep. Yeah. And I was putting the tour together, like working with our booking agent at the time, putting the tour together and getting all the team and a tour manager and, trying to pick creative and do all this stuff. And nothing was going right. Like, it was all just falling apart. And I was like, I cannot do this, because I came from a very structured, like, this is what my day looked like. This is how things went, and everything went great. No, nothing is ever going to go great. It's never going to go great. So that's why my advice is be flexible, because you need to be able to pivot. COVID happened. We had to pivot. Like, it was the biggest pivot of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And during that tour, the tour manager pulled me to the side before the tour happened because I felt like nothing was together the day before the tour. He was like, Charlene, he's gonna get on stage tomorrow and it's all gonna work out and it's gonna be great. But I was so anxious and so uptight because I was like, it's not going to plan like this. So my best piece of advice is to have an outline, but don't be so structured because it is not going. I can't even tell you how many meetings I've prepared for, entire PowerPoint presentations. Like, this is what we want to do, and this is how the rollout should look like. And I've never pulled out the PowerPoint. But on the flip side, I've always been like, okay, well, you're prepared. You know what I'm saying? But now I don't do the PowerPoint. I just write out an outline of what I want to talk about in the meeting because I know I'm probably not even going to get to half of the things on the list.
Yep.
But being flexible and being nimble and being able to pivot, these are the buzzwords I'm going to use, are imperative to your career and your artist career, because shit is going to go left, but you have to be able to get it back on track and get your artist focused. But it's all going to work out in the end. And when it does, and when that moment happens, and when they get on that stage, you could take that big sigh of relief, like it all came together.
Beautiful. Love that. Sigh of relief makes it all worth it, huh?
Yes, that sigh of relief. I am waiting for the sigh of relief in 2020.
Right. We can finally all move past it. Who knows when it'll be, but hopefully soon. And we'll come out stronger from it, right? Especially as a manager, now you've learned all these creative ways to monetize.
Absolutely. I feel like, just talking to my friends, I truly feel like everyone on the planet is going to walk away stronger after this, because we all have endured this major thing that is happening globally to everyone. It's not just one city and state. It's not isolated. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so I know that we're all going to walk away and just be so strong and so united, hopefully, because we've gone through this together. And this has been one of the hardest things. And it's going to be one of those things where it's like, remember the pandemic of 2020? And it's going to be like that story is going to roll back to that. But like I said, everyone is going to be stronger because we all have endured a lot and we've all survived it.
Wow. That's amazing, Charlene. Thank you so much for being here with us back on Amethyst. We are so happy to have had you. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for having me. Y'all got me started in this panel game. Aww. And it's been a snowball effect after that. The one thing I could say too is my career has changed drastically during this pandemic in a good way, because I went from no one knowing who I really was, being behind the scenes, the machine behind Trippie Redd, yep, to everyone knowing me because of Zoom and these Zoom panels, and everyone being able to reach out and touch, and me being able to mentor and talk to. And it's been awesome. And you started that for me. So I just wanted to tell you a huge thank you. Girl, you're a star. This is going to blow up. But I just am grateful because you definitely helped the snowball of everyone getting to know the brains behind Trippie Redd.
Thank you. And I'm so glad that they're getting to know you, right? Because you're just this wealth of knowledge. And one of my favorite things about you, Charlene, is that you've taken these opportunities to really become a mentor. You've been a mentor to me, but you take these women who reach out to you under your wing, and you make time to do these things and be a mentor and really pay it forward to other people. And that's just what I love so much about you.
Thanks, Olivia. I love you.